Welcome to Tank Talk. I'm your host, Bob Tankard. And this evening, my guest and dear friend is Marianne Larned, president of Stone Soup Leadership Institute. That's a lot of words. Marianne, how you doing?
Good.
Marianne, last time I saw you, I think we met up at UMass Boston. I want to say late winter?
It was early winter.
Early winter? Early winter, and we were working on programs. You were working on your Virgin Gorda.
The Youth Summit.
Youth Summit, and I was up there with the assistant superintendent of schools and the young lady that was in charge of our adult education program to try to see if we could work a deal out with UMass Boston. How are you doing?
I'm great, Bob.
Busy?
Very.
So tell us a little bit before we get into the show. What have you been doing? Tell us about.
Well, you know, that partnership with UMass Boston, or that day of our meeting, led to our summer project where we just produced this tribute for Walter Cronkite that we're launching prior to his memorial in New York. And we were working with the media center there. We've been taking all of the footage from our videos from the last 12 years and putting them on YouTube. So you'll see yourself up there, Bob.
On YouTube.
Yeah, well, that's modern day TV, you know.
That's something. You know one thing, Marianne, I want to say that Walter Cronkite has been real inspirational to the island and real giving to the island in his time. But you and him had a real personal relationship. Tell us a little about the relationship and how you met Walter.
Well, we had just been at your school, Bob.
Right.
We just had the first leadership training for the Institute. We had educators and students from all over, and we just spent the whole weekend working with these folks to say, how can we build a better world? And I went back to my office to get something, and the phone rang. And it was, Miss Larned, this is Walter Cronkite. And I sat down, and there were people outside. I said, shh. It's Walter Cronkite. And they said, yeah, right. And I said, no, really. So they closed the door, and he said, you know, I'd like you to come to my office in New York. And I said, well, you're in Edgartown. I'm in Vineyard Haven. I could be there in 5 minutes. But he wanted his son, Chip, to be in on the meeting. So we went to New York. And, you know, it was really one of the highlights of my life. I mean, he wanted to make a TV series based on our book. So.
You know, we did the Stone Soup at the West Isbury School when I was there as principal. And then you took upon yourself the leadership program and the Island Heroes,
right?
Which was, again, a real complicated and difficult thing, thinking about all the people on Martha's Vineyard that have contributed from the goodness of their heart to do things for people, do things for the community and whatnot. And yet it was narrowed down to 4 individuals from each town and a few other awards that were in here. So you're saying it was about between 35 and 40 awards given that night. How did that come about? What gave you the idea to do that?
Well, when I first wrote the book, everybody on the vineyard said, well, we could fill the book with 100 people from Martha's Vineyard. And I said, well, it's from all over the world, and we had just one, which was about the building of Ag Hall. And so, you know, as we were working with the schools, it was really the teachers that were part of the leadership training at your school. They said, let's do something here to really rekindle within our young people that sense of what is a hero. And so it was Deb Hammett who took the lead on this, and we launched it for like a New Year's resolution. And then the kids went to the town halls and had people vote, literally.
Exactly, I can
totally
remember that.
voting. And it was it was the whole island, and I just happened to have everyone who was nominated was put in the paper.
Sure did I.
Yeah, everyone who was nominated.
They were nominated by towns, weren't they?
Yes. Well, you were nominated. So we had a young person, a seasonal resident, an adult, and a business. And then the young people in the 5th grade, Deb was teaching 5th grade at the time, and those kids tallied it up. It was part of a math project, and they tallied it up, and they said, okay, I had really nothing to do with who was chosen. I mean, you know, of course, there are folks that you would know and love. Of course, you were one of them, and Ed Jerome was one of them, and Helen Lamb from Jabberwocky. And, you know, Walter was thrilled. I mean, he was so touched because, you know, for his work with Sale Martha's Vineyard. He received an award at that.
You know one thing, of all the awards that went out, and it was, like you said, it was 30 to 40 of them. The one that I thought was very precious and deserving in a sense was the Reliable Market Award. Bobby Pacheco and his mother and father.
Absolutely.
They have done so much in a silent way for the community. When he got up there and received that award, it just made my heart just want to just tumble a little bit. It was that precious in a moment to me. Well, and I saw a lot of other people get awards, you know, but for something of that magnitude, and I went to school with Bob, so, and he's always been a silent hero on the island, and to be recognized by the heroes, by the Stone Soup was really a blessing to me, and I know that a blessing to him.
The applause, I have to say, and people next to me were saying, I can't believe he got out from behind the desk. You know, he was always working.
You don't see Bobby at night, you know what I mean? You don't see him on the streets walking around. He's like, he gets there at 5 in the morning, and about 7 o'clock at night he's gone, and he goes into his own little place, but he does a magnificent job for the community at large, all over the island.
Right. Well, there's a lot of those folks, and I think what came out of this is this sense of pride in the greatness of Martha's Vineyard and the wonderful network of people that are really working hard to make things better here. And, you know, you get so much celebrities and everybody else comes, you know, to vacation, but it's really important that at the end of the day, who's here to hold hands and make sure things work. And of course, we honored the celebrities, you know, who had done good deeds too. I mean, people, you know, paid attention to that, and they said, you know, thank you. So that was
I got
great.
a phone call the other day talking about, you know, the various people on the island. As you know, President Barack Obama's here. And the funny thing happened, I got a phone call, and the guy said, I want you to help me out. I said, well, what's to help out? He says, I'd like to do a sort of a little story on the president being here. You can get in touch with him. For a minute I said, do you really think I have a direct line to the president? And he actually thought that I could really go to the president to make something happen for him. I said, you know, I'm not that close.
Well, I think
but you were real close with Walter Cronkite.
Well,
and you could get his attention.
Well, he got mine. I mean, that was really what happened.
But after he got yours in the beginning, you were able to go back to him.
No, you know, we worked together hard, and it was an honor and a privilege. And you know, when we produced this promo for the television series that he wanted to create, I'll never forget going down these steep stairs so he could do this voiceover, the narration, you know. And I'm walking in front of him, and I thought, oh my God, you know, and he had hurt himself playing tennis. Right. And I was walking there just making sure that everything was okay, and he put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, you know, you're my little Gunga Din. And I said, that was the nicest thing anybody had ever said to me. So, you know.
How many years ago now? I can't remember. My mom was alive at the time.
Right.
She was there. She had met Walter Cronkite. It was a real honor to her. See her son get an award, and you know, some of the guys she knew Jeffrey and Marty and whatnot, and naturally she knew, you know, Bobby Pacheco. But, you know, how long ago was that?
That was in 2000.
The year 2000.
In the year 2000, and so we worked together starting, and he called me in 1999, which was when we had our training program there, and so we, you know, had quite an adventure. I mean, you know, wrote the script, went to Hollywood, went to General Motors at the time was the #1 advertiser on television. So, you know, we did all of that. And someone said to me, the senior vice president of General Motors at the time said, you know, if you could get Walter, you know, with Britney Spears, then maybe we'll fund it. And I said, you know, I'm sorry.
Not going to happen.
It's for me, you know, it's not what I really would like to have as a role model for the kids. I told Walter, he goes, you know, why not? And I said, I mean, he was so game, you know, he was such a generous spirit that
but you know,
we passed on that one.
We're talking role models, you know, and I can remember when I was a kid, you know, we had our role models, you know, and you know, everybody's personal business wasn't always out in the street like it is today. So I don't know where the role models are. You know, you got to either be born, put in a closet, never have done anything wrong, and then bought out by the time you're maybe 40 years old and says, here's our role model, you know what I mean? But the person doesn't know anything. You know, why can't we develop, or why can't we have role models today? Why can't individuals take that role on like they did years ago? What's causing that from happening?
Well, I think that, our president is a great role model.
Oh, he is.
He is a teacher.
Right.
And I watch him not only with his own children, but with all of us. And he's constantly teaching. And I think we've been really missing that. Opportunity for people to turn on TV and learn something from our president is such a gift. And I'm so, so grateful for him.
One thing, I had the opportunity to meet him in Boston, and like I said, I met him and the Governor Patrick.
Right.
And I shook hands with him, put my arm on their shoulder, and I said, these guys are young enough to be my sons, and they call me sir. And you know what it was when I met him? It was like an old friend that I hadn't seen in years came and walked up to me and said, hey, guy, how you doing?
Right.
I haven't seen you in a long time. And he makes you feel that way. He's not a person that makes you feel that makes you feel far away. He's a person that brings you right up close.
Right.
Looks you in the eye, makes you feel comfortable, laughs and jokes. One of the things I thought when I saw the All-Star game, baseball All-Star game, he had Stan Musial in the car. Now, he was the main figure. And he walks up, he was going to throw the ball out. He walks up and he shakes Stan Musial's hand. The real thing was when he reached over and shook the driver's hand, who was just the driver.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, that's the man.
Oh, yeah.
That's the man right there. Most men in his status wouldn't have done that. But he recognized that man, that man's position and everything else. He said, no, here, how you doing there, guy? And that's what when you say we're blessed, we are blessed.
We are blessed. But, of all the tributes and Walter Cronkite received so many, there were, it was so moving to hear so many people tell them how much he had touched people's lives. But when, the president said that Walter Cronkite was family.
He was.
I mean, that's it.
He was family to a lot of people.
He was family to a lot of people.
And he was honest. He was honest, he was gentle, he was fair. He wasn't a journalist that went out there to try to cut somebody's throat, to try to get just the dirt on somebody. He told what he saw like it should be told. And he gave everybody a fair opportunity. And to me, that's a good journalist. You know what I mean? When you can go to bed at night, and when you can get up and look yourself in the mirror, and you did your job well, that's good. And the tribute that has been paid to him over the last month or so, it's only because of what he has created in all that time.
Well, and, for me, what I saw in the tribute was he was a true journalist in that he, stepped back and he reported on the news. But I was privileged to be, spending time with him for the last 10 years when I got to hear how strongly he felt about things, which he wouldn't have, rarely. I mean, he did speak about Vietnam and other things, but he really, was a true journalist in that way. But he cared deeply about the fact that he felt in today's world we needed to have more educated constituents and people to understand what the issues were. He was very concerned that without that, people were easily led by fear tactics and distracted. And
like such as right now. With this healthcare thing is fear tactics and distractions. And they're not really listening to the whole what the president is really trying to do. And
so, that was the inspiring thing that we got to do together, was to honor the heroes in Martha's Vineyard, so people would see, oh my goodness, look at what we're doing here. And the folks in our book, when Walter, we did we came out with a new edition of my book with his introduction right after 9/11, and he had a very strong sense after 9/11 that we needed to uplift the little guys, particularly those that were working on the front line to stop anti-poverty, to end poverty and terrorism. And we gave Dr. Muhammad Yunus the Gandhi Award. And Walter presented that. And then Dr. Yunus, who's on our advisory council and in our book, he then won the Nobel Peace Prize. And I saw Walter last summer, and he was really proud that maybe in some small way that we had lent our voice to something that, he was so proud that Dr. Yunus got the Nobel Peace Prize. It was really great.
You know one thing, Marianne, we got a piece that we're going to close the show with Walter. And I think the audience is going to really, really, really enjoy this.
I wanted to just say, Bob, before we show this, that because of the 21st century technology, while Walter wanted this on television, the TV you know, world in the TV has changed. So we're taking all of what we've done with him and using YouTube. And so that teachers and can use it in their classroom, and that we have Walter in the studio, we have Walter and the events, we have Walter here. So he's leading our cause, so we're keeping his spirit alive.
Keeping it alive.
That's right.
As we begin this new millennium, it's a good time to take stock. Where have we been? Where are we going? What do we want the next 100 years to bring for ourselves and for our families? And who will chart our path?
I have a dream. I have a dream. My 4 little children one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Men and women of courage and action set the course for the 20th century. I've been privileged to live in a time of great heroes.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Everyone has been touched by these global heroes who made their mark on the world by the power of their example. In today's world, young people are hungry for role models and modern-day heroes they can look up to and follow. Nane Alejandrez shows us that no matter how tough life might be, we can make it better for ourselves and for others. Nane's work takes him to the streets and the jails in 27 cities. As director of Barrios Unidos, he gets kids off the street, gives them jobs, and helps them make something of themselves.
In 1975, 9 members of my family went to prison, and from then on, it's been that way. You know, right now I have 25 members of my family in prison. It has killed, 14 relatives. Drugs, violence. It has really tore my family apart. I was able to, quit heroin and really look at the work that I had to do. When I was young, I was looking to respect somebody. I wanted to respect an elder. I wanted to respect, the homeboys, the older homeboys, But a lot of times that respect was not really the respect that I was looking for. What I try to do now, I try to set an example for the young men, especially our young men. They're lost out there, so they can look up to role models.
Many people overcome obstacles in their lives and make the world a better place for all of us. Everyday people, from good Samaritans to dedicated community volunteers. Their stories are told in the book, Stone Soup for the World.
The book is great stories of ordinary folks, like most people would meet in their neighborhood, who just saw something that was a challenge and decided that they wanted to make something better. Whether it was in their neighborhood or in their school or the environment or for the homeless. I think that we all have stories like that.
It was an honor to have been selected to be one of the stories in the collection of Stone Soup. When I first heard about all the people that were going to be involved in this project, and some of the names, some of the people that have inspired me in my life, Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, and the name of Cesar Chavez. I consider Cesar Chavez as my leader, as the man that had changed me from a violent path. When I saw that what this man did in the struggle in a non-violent way, I said, I like that, and I can do this.
The Stone Soup Foundation brings people together to address problems in our communities. It's based on the island of Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts, a small place with a strong spirit of community. People help each other out. They care for the elderly, help with each other's kids, and pull together to raise a barn and lift the community's spirit. The foundation is working with our children to pass on this legacy of helping one another. At town meetings, students invited people to vote for their favorite local heroes. After the Littleton tragedy, the foundation hosted a community forum for people to discuss the risks facing our children.
And I don't think we really have that much anymore in families or in communities, to feel that you have a responsibility. And I think when people are trusted with one, they get more self-respect and respect for others.
In 1998, the Stone Soup Foundation honored the 35th anniversary of Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech.
Don't give up. Don't become bitter. Don't get lost in a sea of despair. Keep the faith. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on to your dreams. Walk with the wind. Let the spirit of history be your guide. Thank you very much.
Grounded in local values, small local ideas are catching on and involving important people, from our backyard to the world. What is a hero? Joseph Campbell once said, "A hero is someone who responds to a call for service and gives his life to something bigger than himself." The hero's journey begins with a single step. It's that moment when you decide to stand up for something you believe in.
I saw great potential in a lot of young people that were in prison. But most of all, I saw potential for myself. My wife always saw potential in me.
Will Morales became a hero after his brother was killed. He transformed his life from a 17-year-old gang leader to the founder of the Boston Urban Edge Youth Police Partnership. He's now the director of the YMCA in Roxbury, Massachusetts, across the street from where his brother was killed.
Every day is tough because I have to walk into that building and look across the street and see ghosts. And see ghosts of my own past, see the ghosts of who my brother was, you know what I mean? But I try to live the life that both of us should have lived today.
Will works with the Stone Soup Leadership Institute to train people to become leaders in their community. Teenagers and community leaders in Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Hawaii work side by side with heroes from the book who share their time, their life stories, and their insights.
How does one change? You know, I always wanted to change, and looking at the stories of these heroes in Stone Soup, you know, I always had something to grab to. So as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm straight about it, I know that others will follow, you know. Sometimes I'm the leader, sometimes I'm the follower, sometimes I'm just there to pick up the trash, you know. It doesn't matter where I've been and what I've done. The thing is that how do we continue on this journey?
The Stone Soup for the World Leaders Guide distills these stories into life lessons and translates them into specific community service projects. This powerful education curriculum is being used by 120 communities around the world by the YMCA, Big Brothers Big Sisters, the United Way, and America's Promise, as well as by schools, churches, and juvenile justice programs.
I'm really very much proud to be a part of it because I know that their main focus is towards young people. They want to make sure that this literature, that these stories get out to young people, and that young people grasp the whole idea of serving.
Green Back Team!
Our kids have come to think that if it's too much of a struggle, then it must not be worth doing. And if Martin Luther King or Cesar Chavez or Nelson Mandela felt that way, it wouldn't be, a lot of good things wouldn't have happened.
It serves several functions: bringing people together, training young people, giving people who are out there on the front lines a little bit of inspiration, letting people know what's happening in other parts of the country, what other people have done in other communities.
Shovels in the brooms are your flag. Keep them out as much as you can.
This is about building communities, building economic development, building families.
I've seen so many programs come and go, and I thought this could tap in. Then I read the Reader's Guide, and I thought it shows everybody how to do it. It even showed me as a parent how I could have done it or do it. And I thought this could really make a difference because it gets everybody involved from the bottom up.
We each have our own gifts, and we have this little spark, we have this little sense of what's possible. How can we engage those people around us so that together we can make a bigger difference?
Really what they're saying is that basically you do have a magical stone that you're putting into this pot that is really bringing everybody together.
Somewhere on this planet, there well may be those who have the solution to each of the world's problems. And Stone Soup for the World is asking all of us to take that first step. It's time to roll up our sleeves. It's time to share our stories and teach our children that they can be heroes. It's time to take action and chart the course for our future. And that's the way it is. I'm Walter Cronkite.
And this is Bob Tankard saying good evening.